All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Heidi Fish, and I have the fabulous Mollie Terlinden joining me today. How are you, Mollie?
I'm so good. The sun is shining. It's like a whole new world in Minnesota.
It is. The warm weather is definitely changes moods and outlooks, and yeah, it's awesome. Well, we're gonna stick with my theme this week of talking about body love. Before we get into your journey, Mollie, I'd love for you to just tell everyone who you are, who's in your family, what you do, what you're passionate about.
Okay, so my name is Mollie. I am probably in my, I think now it's called my late 30s. That's crazy to say. It's weird. But I have a 13-year-old. She'll be 13 in less than a month. And then I have an 8-month-old. So Charisse and Ellie, quite the gap, but they're amazing little girls that now all the stuff we're going to talk about, like I'm seeing firsthand how important it is as I raise these like little women that I want to be confident, amazing little people themselves. Yeah. And I'm married to Jeremy. We've been married for it'll be 5 years this summer. 5 years. 5 years.
And the years are all blending together right now anyway.
You know, they do. I don't know what happened the last year. And then I have a ginormous golden doodle bear. He is like over 100 pounds. And I'm a personal trainer. So that industry looks a little bit different over the last year, but I got into that because of my journey and wanted to help other people kind of discover their amazing bodies and help them through that. So I work with clients in a gym, and then I also work with clients virtually. And I'm just really passionate about health in general. And I feel like being on both ends has just helped me. Like I've been extreme opposite, like extremely unhealthy, and kind of going through that journey just has meant so much to me. So being able to share that with other people, I really am moved to do that. And it's what drives me. I love it when somebody's that, if someone's like, oh my gosh, you helped me. It's like, yes, this is my life's work.
Yeah, that's awesome. So talk more about that. You said that you used to be unhealthy. What created the shift? I'd say let's talk physical first, and then because I feel like from the outside it seems like you've definitely had a mindset shift in the last couple of years. So yeah, let's talk about your physical journey first and how you went from unhealthy to healthy.
Sure. Well, this is really like a 13-year journey, I would say. And that's the piece of it. So I probably started this like in my late 20s, like mid 20s, around that area. And honestly, so if we take that, then that's 25-ish years of being really unhealthy. So to think that it's going to take a good amount of time to get into a really healthy place, that's realistic, you know? And so my daughter is what started it, right? All of a sudden, when I was able to, sometimes I feel like as women, it's hard for us to do something for ourselves. But then all of a sudden, when you have a child and you have someone that you're doing something for, all of a sudden, then it's like, I have to do this.
I just got goosebumps.
I have to be the woman. I created a mission statement actually when Charisse was born. And the very last sentence in it is, I want my daughter to look up to me. I want my daughter to be proud of me. And I wanted to be an example for her, because I knew I was going to be what she was going to mirror every day. So with her, that's really what started this. Okay, I need to be better. And then she also was born with a slew of food allergies, which I had to start reading labels. It was no longer like go through the drive-through and just give whatever, whatever's there. It's like, okay, understanding what's in the food, what can I give her? Why am I giving this to her? And, that is what kind of started the ball rolling. And then, that developed into working out, and that developed into, where I am today, where it's a part of who I am. And that the misconception is like, I think people are like, oh, today I'm going to be healthy. And all of a sudden you think tomorrow you're going to wake up and like, you're going to have biceps and it's going to be, but it's really like, no, it's a journey like that. Yeah. That's truly it. And the journey isn't just a week. It's not 30 days. It's years. It's a lifelong journey that you always have to work at.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I mean, when you think of it takes 25 years to, you created 25 years worth of bad habits. You can't undo those in 30 days or even a year. And especially as we start getting into the mindset stuff, I mean, think about how many years we've been saying like negative shit to ourselves. Like it doesn't you can't just erase it over. I mean, I wish it was like
No.
a tape that you could just tape over, but it's all still in there. So yeah. So tell me more about the mindset shift for you. And I mean, I think that's a huge part about parenting, right? Because even if we try to have these good habits with how we eat and move our bodies, if we're looking in the mirror and saying negative stuff about our bodies, or we're judging other people's bodies, they pick up on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I grew up, I have an amazing mother and had an amazing grandmother as influences in my life. And I feel like I had to actually take that step first, because my mom even would tell you that she has mindset issues, and talking about what you heard as a child, I had to kind of unravel that. We are so mean to ourselves. And so for me, it started with just simple habits, of affirmations. And having I was very mean to my body. Like, physically, I was very abusive to my body. Mentally, I was very abusive to my body. Like, if I did to someone else what I did to myself, I would be in jail. Like, I would not be able to do to someone else what I did to me.
Yeah.
I've starved myself. I've physically hurt myself. I've, done all these crazy things, like, especially with my relationship around food and my body. And it's like, if I did that to someone else, it'd be like, that is illegal. You are going to jail. But we do it to ourselves. And so I also read a really good book. I love this book, Made to Crave, by Liza Triggrist. And I've read it several times. I've done several book studies on it. And that book talks about, our desire, how we need to replace that desire for food with a desire to seek God, and just like when we're stressed out, we have a tendency to go and open the doors of the refrigerator instead of like opening the Bible, right? Or we open Facebook instead of opening words that'll do us some good. And so, I started saying affirmations and reading more and just practicing kindness to my body, like treating myself how I would treat others. And also looking in the mirror, because again, it's easier for me to do it for Charisse, to do it for Ellie. And so I would look in the mirror and she's watching me. So I would tell myself the things that I want to tell her and what I want her to say, like, oh my gosh, look at that strong body. You're so strong. And Reese, we don't work out to lose weight and to be a size. We work out to feel strong, and we work out to be healthy. And so I started telling myself these things. And eventually now I say it to me because it's me. But at first I had to say it because that's what I wanted Reese to do. And my love for her, as sad as it might sound, my love for her at that point was even greater than my love for self. And so that's changed over time. And so affirmations, they seem wonky until you're doing them for 10 years. And all of a sudden, those things are your reality. Here's again, like, people do affirmations for 1 week and they're like, what? I said I'm beautiful for a week and I don't feel beautiful. That's not a week. It's like years of like practicing consistency.
Yeah, for sure. One of my posts this week was about how we can't hate our bodies into submission. Like, you can't hate yourself thin. You can't hate yourself.
Yes.
Like, it just doesn't work. Your body listens to those thoughts. And if you're always, I mean, like you said, if you did it to someone else, if you said those things to your kids, they would be destroyed. They would just be absolutely crumbled. So how can we say those things to our bodies and expect our bodies to change?
That's so true. That's one of the things I tell my clients also. I'm like, you can't hate yourself to get to where you want to be, but you can absolutely love yourself there. And the book I was referencing to, Made to Crave, have you read it?
I haven't, but I know I'm familiar with it, and I know a lot of people have.
Yeah, and she talks about the curse of the skinny jeans. Like how, like, oh, if I just fit into those skinny jeans, I'm going to be so happy. And then you get into the skinny jeans and you're like, wait, like the day you step into them, you're not all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, now I'm fulfilled.
Yeah.
No, like, you have to be fulfilled and love yourself there. And then, those things just become like side perks, right? Like fitting into clothes, like, or those are just like perks of all of a sudden loving yourself, right? I think loving yourself is the ultimate journey, not a size on the scale, not how you appear in clothes, but it's really like self-love.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's kind of been 2 points in your transformation that I want to talk about, because I remember a couple years ago, you obviously had this amazing transformation, and I remember you having this mindset shift around like that you can be the strong, lean, powerful woman and have that body versus like looking at it as an exterior thing that like, oh, I'm not built that way. I'm not made that
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Can you talk about kind of that shift in your mindset in that part of your
Yeah.
journey?
Yeah. So I had myself like convinced that healthy people were born that way. Right. And so me having my like, I was the chubby kid having all these things. It was just never going to be for me. And then I ultimately decided that I wanted to try it. Like, let's see if that's real or if that's what I can be. And so what I did was I put in the work. And this is interesting to me because it's so not now. Like now I've had a baby again. And so my goals are completely different. Like they've shifted. But for that period of time, it was becoming this strong, lean, powerful, which I still am, like strong, lean, powerful, but like I wanted to be that person. And so I did. I put in the work to become that person. And I was like, wow, like, like you don't have to be like born strong with abs. Like you can work for them and you can have them. And that's what I wanted. And so I did do it. And ultimately, I think what it required of me at that time was to be just extremely disciplined and rooted in what I wanted and having that goal. And on that topic of like saying, I had that goal, like I have the right to change my mind. At that point, like I was thinking about doing fitness competitions. It fit very much in with my life. Like I could visibly see my abs, like all those things are things I wanted. Like at that point in my life, that's what I wanted. Now I have an 8-month-old. Like that stuff, while it'd be great, it's just not something I desire right now. And I still feel very healthy, but I'm obviously not working out like an hour or 2 hours a day. And it's just not what I want. And so I reserve the right to change my mind. It's like now at this time in my life, I work out to be healthy. I work out so that I have energy. I work out so that I feel strong. And I work out so I can set an example for my girls. But it's really just getting into that zone of what do you truly want? And then once you figure out what you want, do it.
Yeah.
I think we spend so much time thinking, oh gosh, we look at girls on Instagram and we're like, oh, I want that. Okay, but are you willing to do what it takes to get that?
Yeah, both physically and mentally. Are you willing to release the stories that are holding you back? And are you willing to put in the physical work?
Both. Like, are you willing to? And if you're not willing to, then be okay with changing your mind and being like, if that's not what I want, and that's not the goal I'm going to have, then let's think about what I really do want. Because I must not really want that bad if I'm not willing to do these things to get it. So then like assessing what it is that you really want and then doing the things. Don't be the person that just sits and stares and wishes, right? Yeah. Like do the work. And if doing the work is just working out a few times a week so you can feel great, do that work and sit in that and be proud of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And then you already kind of led into my other piece that I wanted you to touch on, which is becoming a mom again after all these years and how that has shifted what your goals are and kind of, I mean, we haven't been able to chat very much lately since you've had Ellie. What has that post-baby journey been like for you this time, and kind of where are you at and what are your goals? And yeah, I just would love for you to speak to the new moms.
Sure. So so I worked out my entire pregnancy and I felt so strong and so powerful. I watched a video. I was literally doing burpees like the day before I delivered her. And that's what felt right to me. And that's what felt good. My body allowed me to do that. And so I just took that and I ran with it. Post baby, it was, I felt like I could give myself that grace after. And so I didn't work out. And then I honestly struggled with some postpartum stuff. Like it was, I'm not sure if it was 2020. I'm not sure if it was, winter that crept in, what it was. But I feel like us moms, we have a tendency to get so wrapped up in our children. Like I've already talked about with you, like there were times in my life when I couldn't do stuff for me. But if I was like, oh, but it's for my kid, I can do it. And so I feel, especially within that first year of having a baby, like you almost lose your sense of self, right? It's this amazingly joyful, beautiful, like time. I'm not trying to discredit how wonderful it is to have a baby. Like it's the most amazing experience. But at the same time, like I feel like women were such, caregivers that you just lose your sense of self. And so I had to do work on my mind to keep myself afloat. And what that looked like for me was like reaching out for help. Like I reached out like, hey, I need help. Like this is happening. And it's not just in my head, right? This is happening. And so I talked about that, and I've continued to exercise is so important for me, like for mental health.
Yeah.
Like I need it. It's a way for me to relieve stress. I turn on really good music, so I have a ton of fun that way. It feels good when I sweat. There's so many benefits that I have when I exercise. And so I made that a priority. And I remember my very first class I went to post baby. I have the videos saved because I want to remember that moment. I remember I went to class and I was like, wow, like shocked that my body like was going back. It was like a new body again. And so I left class like bawling, and I was like, I want to remember this moment, right? Because I'm going to power through this moment. Like I knew, I'm like, I'm going to do this. But I can see how women would be like, they give up, right? Because at that moment I was like, this is not for me. I feel like this big. That was the hardest class. My body's not moving. What am I thinking? Why would I do this? And so I recorded that moment of me like crying and just feeling so defeated. But now I look back at that and I'm like, oh my gosh, because I went to class the next day and I worked out the next day and the next day and the next day. And now it's like, oh my gosh, thank goodness that I did, because now like I'm finally like getting to a place where I feel strong again. And I'm not going to say getting back to where I was, because I'll never, like, that's, I don't know if I'll, that is what it is. But now it's just working on creating like the new me. And I think for moms, that's what you have to do. Don't try to be what you were. You're never going to be what you were. Like you have a new life that you're caring for.
Yeah.
You have a new body that is delivered, that created life, and, even for moms like that maybe have adopted, that did, like, you still have this human that you are responsible for. Your life is shifted and your life is different. So don't ever try to be what you were. Why would you want to be that? You're so much grander than that. So it's just discovering about what you should be now. And so now it's like, okay, who is Mollie? Mom of two, and figuring that out. And right now it just feels really good to move my body. And I do classes out here, and I have my Thursday night class. If anybody in Hutchinson is watching this, it's like the funnest class. Usually have a wait list. It's Thursday ladies night out, and just being with this group of women and like having, that camaraderie with these people. I love that, and it feels good. And so that's what it's about now, is like rediscovering who this Mollie is now, and loving her for where she is now too.
That's so beautiful. And I want to come take the class.
Come on.
Awesome. Well, in parting, if there's anyone watching this and they're just like really uncomfortable in their skin right now, they don't know what to do. They don't know what step to take to start loving their body. Obviously recommend Made to Crave is a great place to start. But any other last parting tips for someone who knows that they need to start loving their body, but they don't know what to do?
I would reach out. Like, you can reach out to me, reach out to Heidi. Heidi's really good at this, but like, don't think you have to do it alone or figure it out alone. It was a community for me. So much of this like next level phase stuff, Heidi, happened in our isogenics community, and so I think reaching out to people that are doing it. Don't just watch the people that have it, but like reach out to them. A lot of times the reason why, why I share on social media, why you share on social media, it's because I love to share, like, and I want to help people with it. And so, reaching out to people and asking for help, I think is what, a really good step would be for someone, and don't try to do it on your own. Like if any, we've learned a lot in 2020, and one thing is that certainly we thrive on relationships, because even being an introvert, like the first several months, I was like, oh, I love this.
Me too.
Quarantine, this is so great. I'm filling up with so much energy. It's so good. Okay, but now I'm like, all right, I'm full energy. Like I need community, and I think we need that. So reach out. Made to Crave is an amazing book if you're a Christian person who wants to follow that path. And yeah, just give yourself some grace and do it. That's the other piece. Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah. I love the reaching out for help piece. I did a Peloton ride a few weeks ago, and she was talking about reaching out for help, and that, if you're in a hole, if you're in this proverbial like giant hole and you're trying to just like scrape your way out, you have nothing to grab onto. You have nothing to like have that resistance to like pull on. But if you reach out for help and someone can reach that hand down into your hole and help pull you out, there's so much power in that. So
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to chat, Mollie, and we'll have to, continue our conversation after a workout class.
Thanks so much for having me, Heidi.